Number 10. 1975 Chevrolet Caprice. The Chevrolet Caprice was America's best-selling full-size car for years, but the 1975 model had significant problems that frustrated owners. This massive sedan stretched 223 inches in length and rode on a 121.5-inch wheelbase, representing the peak of GM's supersized approach before downsizing began in 1977. Standard power came from a 145 horsepower, 350 cubic inch V8 with optional 400 and 454 cubic inch engines available for those wanting more power. While mechanically more sound than some competitors, this model year suffered from quality control issues. Owners reported paint that peeled prematurely from roofs and rocker panels, interior materials that degraded quickly, and electrical problems, including a poorly designed windshield-mounted antenna that produced terrible static when wipers crossed over it. The larger engines offered adequate power but consumed fuel at alarming rates, often achieving single-digit fuel economy. Despite Chevrolet's strong reputation, this enormous Caprice represented the excess of the era before the successful downsizing that followed. Number 9. 1975 Chrysler Imperial. The 1975 Chrysler Imperial was supposed to be Chrysler's flagship luxury vehicle, competing directly with Cadillac and Lincoln. Instead, it became a symbol of poor timing and quality issues that plagued Chrysler in the mid-1970s. This massive car measured over 230 inches long and weighed nearly 5,000 pounds, powered by the 440 cubic inch V8 that produced 215 horsepower and achieved fuel economy in the single digits. The Imperial arrived just as the oil crisis was ongoing, featuring outdated styling that looked more 1960s than modern. Reliability became a constant issue, with quality control issues stemming from rushed production and dated engineering. Owners reported electrical gremlins, paint problems, and mechanical failures that frustrated buyers who had paid premium prices for these luxury barges. By the end of 1975, Chrysler discontinued the Imperial entirely, unable to justify continuing production of a car that few people wanted and even fewer could afford to operate. This would be the last Imperial until 1981. Number 8. 1979 Ford LTD. The newly downsized 1979 Ford LTD should have been a success story. After years of watching GM dominate with its downsized full-size cars, Ford finally responded with a more modern, efficient design. However, the execution left much to be desired. In comparison tests against the Chevrolet Caprice, the LTD consistently came up short in objective measurements, proving slower in acceleration tests and achieving worse fuel economy despite its smaller engines. Most alarmingly, the LTD showed dramatically inferior braking performance, with stopping distances significantly longer than the Caprice in testing. The interior quality was inconsistent depending on trim level, with base models featuring cheap-looking materials and crank windows that seemed out of place in a full-size Ford, while upscale Landau models with the interior luxury group package earned praise for their integrated interiors. Most LTDs on the road were more pedestrian versions. Despite Ford's efforts to modernize their full-size lineup, the car's objective shortcomings were impossible to ignore. Number 7. 1976 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. The 1976 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham was the largest car Cadillac ever built, a massive luxury sedan that defined excess in automotive form. This full-size Cadillac stretched an incredible 233.7 inches in length and rode on a 133-inch wheelbase, powered by the 500 cubic inch V8 that produced 190 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. At over $10,000, it was positioned as Cadillac's ultimate statement of luxury and prestige. While it looked impressive and rode smoothly, this supersized Cadillac suffered from reliability problems that tarnished the brand's reputation. Owners experienced electrical issues that plagued them throughout ownership, and paint quality was inconsistent, with many cars developing premature finish problems despite their premium pricing. The sheer size created practical problems. It was incredibly difficult to park and maneuver in urban environments. Fuel economy was atrocious, with most owners reporting consumption in the low teens at best. The downsized 1977 models that followed proved far more successful, showing the Cadillac's supersized approach had reached its limit. Number 6. 1975 Mercury Marquis. The 1975 Mercury Marquis represented Ford's full-size luxury offering at a time when American land yachts were reaching their absolute peak. This massive sedan measured 230 inches in length and rode on a 124-inch wheelbase, making it one of the longest production cars of the decade. Powered by the standard 460 cubic inch V8 producing 218 horsepower, or the optional 400 cubic inch engine, the Marquis was designed to compete with GM's luxury full-size lineup. However, the Marquis suffered from the same quality control issues that plagued Ford products throughout the mid-1970s. Owners reported electrical issues, particularly with power accessories that failed with alarming regularity. The 460 V8, while powerful, achieved fuel economy in the single digits during a time of skyrocketing gas prices. Build quality was inconsistent, with rattles, squeaks, and premature wear of interior components being common complaints. The car's enormous size made it difficult to maneuver and park, while its thirst for fuel made it increasingly impractical as the decade progressed. Number 5. 1974 Chrysler New Yorker Brougham. The 1974 Chrysler New Yorker Brougham deserves a spot on our list because it combined almost every problem that plagued 1970s American cars into one expensive package. This massive sedan debuted with completely new slab-sided styling, arriving just as the 1973 oil embargo devastated sales of large cars. At over 230 inches long and weighing well over 4,500 pounds, it was powered by the 440 cubic inch V8 that produced 230 horsepower, but struggled to achieve even 10 miles per gallon in real-world driving. The timing of its introduction could not have been worse, as buyers were fleeing large cars just as Chrysler had invested heavily in designing these behemoths from the ground up. Quality control was a persistent problem, with owners reporting rattles, vibrations, electrical failures, and inconsistent fit and finish. Performance was sluggish despite the large engine, as emissions controls choked power output while making the engines prone to stalling and difficult starting. Maintenance costs were astronomical given the complex features and poor reliability. By 1978, Chrysler was bleeding money and heading toward bankruptcy, with this New Yorker representing everything wrong with the company's approach during this troubled period. Number 4. 1977 Lincoln Continental. The 1977 Lincoln Continental sedan represented the final year of the massive fifth-generation design before downsizing. This full-size luxury sedan stretched 230.7 inches in length and rolled on a 127.2-inch wheelbase, making it one of the longest production sedans ever built by Ford Motor Company. Standard power came from the 460 cubic inch V8, producing 208 horsepower, with a 400 cubic inch V8 available in California. Despite its impressive dimensions and luxury appointments, the Continental suffered from quality control problems that plagued Ford's luxury division throughout the late 1970s. Owners reported numerous electrical issues, failing power accessories, and inconsistent build quality that was unacceptable for a vehicle costing nearly $12,000. The car's massive size created practical problems in urban environments, and fuel economy rarely exceeded 10 miles per gallon. While the Continental offered a smooth, comfortable ride, the combination of poor quality control, astronomical fuel consumption, and declining buyer interest in large luxury sedans made this model a commercial disappointment that helped push Lincoln toward downsizing in 1980. Number 3. 1976 Cadillac DeVille. The 1976 Cadillac DeVille represented the final year of Cadillac's largest full-size platform before the successful downsizing of 1977. Measuring 230.7 inches in length and riding on a 130-inch wheelbase, this massive sedan was powered by the 500 cubic inch V8 that produced between 190 and 215 horsepower depending on configuration.
At over $9,000, it was positioned as a premium luxury sedan competing with Lincoln and Chrysler. However, the DeVille suffered from significant reliability issues that tarnished Cadillac's reputation. Owners reported electrical system problems, ranging from malfunctioning power windows to faulty lighting and failed electronic components. The cooling system was particularly troublesome, with many cars experiencing overheating issues and coolant leaks. Mechanical reliability was inconsistent, with transmission problems and suspension concerns being commonly reported. The enormous 500 cubic inch engine achieved fuel economy of less than 9 miles per gallon on average, making it expensive to operate during the energy crisis. Despite its luxury pretensions, the quality of materials and build consistency often fell short of expectations for such an expensive vehicle. Number 2. 1974 Pontiac Catalina. The 1974 Pontiac Catalina was Pontiac's entry-level full-size car, riding on a 123.4-inch wheelbase and stretching over 225 inches in length. Standard power came from a 350 cubic inch V8, producing 150 horsepower, with optional 400 and 455 cubic inch engines available. The Catalina featured new styling with a Mercedes-like split grille and revised rear end with new 5-mile-per-hour bumpers that added weight and bulk. The 1974 Pontiac Catalina arrived at the worst possible time, just as the oil crisis was devastating sales of large cars. The timing couldn't have been worse for this gas-guzzling land yacht that achieved fuel economy in the low teens at best. Build quality was inconsistent, with owners reporting interior materials that degraded quickly and dashboards that deteriorated from sun exposure. The emissions controls required for 1974 choked power output while making the engines prone to rough running and poor drivability.
Number 1. 1978 Oldsmobile Delta 88. Our number 1 spot goes to the Oldsmobile Delta 88 with the catastrophic 350 diesel engine, one of the greatest automotive disasters in American history. The 1978 Delta 88 diesel was rushed to market with GM's new 350 cubic inch diesel V8, producing just 120 horsepower and 220 pound-feet of torque. This engine was offered in 29 different GM models from 1978 to 1985, exposing millions of buyers to one of the worst drivetrains ever created. The problems were legendary and catastrophic. GM engineers based the diesel on their gasoline V8 architecture, using the same head bolt pattern designed for much lower compression ratios. The insufficient head bolts stretched and broke under diesel's higher cylinder pressures, leading to blown head gaskets that allowed coolant to leak into cylinders, causing complete engine destruction. GM omitted a water separator from the fuel system to save costs, causing widespread corrosion in injection pumps and fuel lines. Timing chains stretched, retarding engine timing and causing poor performance, smoke, and hard starting. When engines failed, and they did with alarming regularity, repair costs often exceeded $2,000.